Okay, let's try something. Imagine just for a moment a completely different America, a different 20th century. What if the way we power everything, I mean everything, how our cities look, even our place in the world, what if it was all changed because one person didn't end up where they did? That's really the core question we're digging into today. We're looking at a fascinating analysis. Now, for our listeners, that translates roughly to parallel world. No Tesla, America without light. And our mission, really, is to explore that exact what if. What would America, maybe even the world, look like if Nikola Tesla had never made it to the United States? And maybe more importantly, what does thinking about this tell us about those hidden turning points in history?
It's a great question. And counterfactual history, it isn't just like a fun parlor game. It's actually a really powerful way to understand the true significance of certain events, certain people. By picturing a world without them, you get a much clearer sense of the impact they actually had. It
Mhm.
helps connect the dots, why things happened the way they did.
Right. Not just what happened, but why. So let's paint that picture, this alternate reality. No Tesla stepping off the boat, no challenge to Edison. So Edison's direct current, DC, which already had, well, a ton of financial back,
Huge backing.
it just becomes the standard no war of the currents,
Yeah.
none of that drama.
Yeah.
Just DC America.
And that sounds simple, but the implications are massive. The biggest problem with DC, its Achilles heel, really, is you just can't send it very far. We're talking maybe a mile, maybe 2 kilometers tops. Before you lose so much energy, it's just not practical.
Uh-huh.
That technical limit, it changes everything.
So what does that look like in a city instead of a few big power plants way outside town?
You'd have countless smokestacks everywhere. Tiny power plants, maybe one per square mile, right in the middle of neighborhoods.
Wow. Imagine the smog, the noise.
Oh, absolutely. Coal dust, constant machinery noise. It would be a totally different sensory experience. Awful for public health, terrible for urban planning.
And the cost. If you need a power plant on every corner.
Exactly. The cost would be astronomical. Building them, running them. Electricity wouldn't be this basic thing we all have. It stays a luxury good, only for the rich neighborhoods, maybe some heavy industrial zones. Forget affordable power for the average home.
So it's not just inconvenient, it actually shapes society. Who gets power and who doesn't.
Fundamentally, it would likely prevent the rise of a large middle class reliant on electric appliances because those appliances might barely even exist or be way too expensive to run.
Okay, so the ripple effects keep going. What about industry? The
Okay.
second industrial revolution was all about electricity, assembly lines.
Well, that revolution gets severely, let's say, stunted, limited. Big factories, they'd have to be built literally right next door to their own dedicated DC power plant.
Oh, okay.
Makes expansion incredibly difficult, super expensive. You can't just build a huge factory complex anywhere you want. The kind of massive industry centers we saw develop probably wouldn't happen on the same scale. And think about assembly lines, motors, all harder, more expensive, without easily distributed AC power.
And you have this perfect example in the source material, right? Niagara Falls.
Oh, that's a powerful one. All that immense natural energy just sitting there
Untapped.
completely. Because at DC, you can't send that power to Buffalo or anywhere else useful distance-wise.
Right.
It's just a massive waste. All that potential gone just because the right tech, Tesla's AC, isn't there in this alternate timeline.
So if industry is stunted, the economy is slower.
Hmm.
What does that do to America's place in the world, its global standing?
Well, it connects directly. If you don't have that robust nationwide electrical grid, your industrial capacity is seriously capped. And think about, say, World War II. America became the arsenal of democracy.
Right. Churning out planes, tanks, ships.
Exactly. Could it have done that without widespread, efficient AC power driving those factories? Probably not. That ability to mass produce on an incredible scale, it likely would have been significantly reduced, and that could change the outcome of the war, the entire 20th century geopolitical map.
Wow, okay. That's huge. And domestically, what about people living outside the cities?
Life would be very different for them for much longer. Rural areas, remote places, they'd stay without electricity for decades more than they actually did.
Deepening that urban-rural divide.
Absolutely. It slows down development overall, impacts quality of life, access to information. The whole country just develops much, much more slowly.
It really makes you appreciate that Tesla did show up, that he didn't give up. The source puts that really well, that sense of gratitude almost. So let's pivot from that what if back to what actually happened. Tesla's fight and eventual win.
Yeah, and his struggle, it wasn't just, a tech debate, AC versus DC. It was deeper. It was about a vision for the future, an open, interconnected world powered efficiently. Edison fought hard, used some pretty nasty tactics.
The whole electrocuting animals thing.
Right, those fear campaigns against AC. But Tesla's system, well, it just worked better on a large scale. And eventually, that became undeniable.
Were there key moments that really proved it? Tipping points?
Definitely. Two big ones stand out. First, the Chicago World's Fair in 1893.
Lighting up the whole fair.
Exactly. It was this huge, spectacular demonstration, showed everyone AC could power something massive, safely, and efficiently. It really kind of dazzled people and swayed public opinion.
And the other.
Niagara Falls. Building that power plant, harnessing that incredible power, and sending it, using AC, miles away to Buffalo.
The thing that couldn't happen in the alternate world.
Precisely. That was the ultimate proof. It showed AC wasn't just for fairs, it was for serious industrial scale power. Game changers, both of them.
So his vision wins out. But his story has this other kind of mysterious chapter, right?
Yeah.
After his death.
It does. It's fascinating. When Tesla died in 1943 during World War II, his papers, his belongings, they weren't just, sorted by his family.
Right. The source mentions government agencies stepping in immediately. Not the CIA, surprisingly.
No, it was the FBI and this other group, the Alien Property Custodian.
Alien Property Custodian. What's that?
It was a wartime office. Basically, it's tasked with handling assets of foreign nationals, particularly enemies. But they, along with the FBI, seized everything of Tesla's, all his notes, research, models.
Why? Why such an immediate, almost drastic action?
National security. Plain and simple. The U.S. government knew Tesla had been working on some really advanced, maybe even radical ideas later in his life.
Things like wireless energy, the death ray.
Exactly. Wireless power transmission, particle beam weapon concepts. Stuff that sounded like science fiction, but coming from Tesla, they took it very seriously. They were deeply concerned this research, potentially way ahead of its time, could fall into Nazi or other enemy hands.
So they grabbed it to study it, to keep it safe.
That's the thinking.
Yeah.
It really underscores how important, how potentially revolutionary they considered his work to be, even the later, more speculative stuff. His genius was recognized at the highest levels, even if the public saw him as more eccentric by then.
So pulling this all together, it seems clear that without Tesla, our world, not just America, would be fundamentally different, more fragmented, definitely more expensive to power, slower to develop.
Absolutely. That industrial powerhouse image, the technological leap of the 20th century, it's hard to imagine it happening the same way without his contributions, without AC power knitting everything together.
The world we live in, this bright, interconnected place, it owes a huge debt to his vision, his persistence.
It really does. We're kind of living in the world he fought for in many ways.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, is this. How many other moments like this are there in history? Seemingly small choices or single individuals that fundamentally rerouted our path? What other hidden parallel worlds are lurking just beneath the surface of the history we think we know? What stands out to you from all this?